Hey everyone. So it's my first time using one of those little lights behind me. I like it because it makes you look bright, but in the same sense, I'm sensitive to lights and sounds and stuff. So we'll see how this goes. But I no longer have to make videos in my truck, although I don't mind it. But I'm going to soon start lives because I have a lot more quiet time during the day. I just have to kind of get in the swing of using the equipment. It's not that I'm bad like with techie stuff, but I have to teach myself first. Also, if there's anybody out there who knows the most user-friendly video editing software, that would be great because I'm going to be starting a new channel and it's going to require editing. And I wouldn't say I'm the best video editor, but I'm good at teaching myself things and figuring things out. And that's what being sovereign is all about, is just figuring out how to do things on your own so you don't feel so like you have to have something externally to achieve something. Everything that you could ever want to achieve, you can do it. You just have to figure it out and not be afraid and have the courage. And light workers already kind of have that fire in them to figure things out and not be afraid to reach out, to learn new things, to fall, because we're all going to fall and fail sometimes, and that's okay too. And to recognize that there is no destination. Like, we're all just in this process, expressing ourselves as our own unique expression of source. So we don't want to fit into anyone else's box. But in the same respect, we have to understand that in order to expand, we have to learn new things and acquire new tools and remember from previous lifetimes, and just from being able to access the all that is, that there's anything that you could want to reach for in terms of talent, gift, in a way of expressing yourself, it is available. It's just whether you're willing to put in the work to get it, to reach there. And it's really, the work is just feeling good. The work is just stop putting so much pressure on yourself to go somewhere, to have a mission. Like, literally the mission is feeling good along the way and expanding and failing to learn. And when you're in the darkness, recognize it's here for you to learn and expand and grow. And once you expand to a certain point, then the darkness, those lower vibrational frequencies that they consider the incarnation trap, it really is just you expanding out of those and then realizing that you're just in a world within many worlds, and it's ever expanding, and you get to choose what frequency you want to be at. So if you continuously reincarnate, you're going into 3D lower vibrational frequency realms, and that's where the trap is. Okay, guys? So I know a lot of people are like, confused, not necessarily confused, but questioning a lot of things. I've even heard other teachers talking about it. I'm like, wow, like I'm seeing it everywhere. And it really is, it's literally as simple as being a good person, walking in integrity and feeling good. And when you do those things, by default, you feel good. You help others, you're service to others. And service to others is being the best version of yourself. It doesn't mean you're out there at the food pantry passing out food. Like, it can mean that, but what it ultimately means is we're connected to everyone and everything around us. So our vibrational frequency impacts everything. That doesn't mean get down on yourself if you're having a rough day. That means kind of detach a little bit and recognize that that's just feelings and emotions that are coming up for you to see if you're able to come into that observer space and say, hey, wait, I don't have to choose this anymore. I don't have to tell this story anymore. I don't have to be stuck in lower frequencies anymore. If they come up, I can detach from them. And that's really what Source brought through in terms of the downloads that I got this morning. I didn't even write it down, but I had wrote something down the other day. I think I'm going to share it in a different video. But that is just along the lines of everything that came through. And it's funny how it just always was just organic. I just start talking about how I'm going to make different videos in a new channel, and it just organically flows into exactly what Source wanted me to share with everybody today. And so the first and the most simple, and everyone's so sick of hearing it, is saying just be present. Be here right now. Be here right now. Where is your mind? Is it thinking about all the things that you don't have that you want? not recognizing that everything you want, you have right now. You're just choosing not to access that frequency. It is a choice. Every single moment is a choice. So it doesn't matter who you love. Love is wherever you go, you're activated, you're choosing love in any given moment. And that was like a big, huge epiphany that I've had recently. It was like, everybody's out here like, is this my twin flame? And is this relationship good? Is that relationship good? It doesn't even matter. It's all that matters is that you show up in love in any given moment. It doesn't matter who you're loving. Like, the love is you. The love isn't attached to this other person who you think you can't achieve this feeling without that person. That person maybe activated you. That happens a lot of times. You or another person activates you, and the other person relates those first feelings of those emotions to that activation, instead of recognizing that those came and were generated from their self, and they just had to be activated by somebody who knew how to do that already. So don't lose sight of that. It doesn't matter all these labels and stuff. It just matters that you show up in love in any given moment. And the way you do that is stop trying to predict the future and wish you were somewhere else or with someone else or at a different job or making more money or had the house or blah, blah, blah. On the mission and being who you came here to be. All you came here to do was feel good. And you know what feels good? Tapping into source, not worrying about the past, not anxious about what's going to happen in the future or wanting something else. It's being present, being creative, allowing source to work through you, not trying to fit into some box, not trying to achieve something. It's achievement. The real currency, I made a video on this a few years ago, is your vibration. That is your currency as a being, like an infinite being. How you feel, because how you feel determines where you're at in your own simulation that you're choosing to project. The world within worlds. They say, be in the world, not of the world. Because if you're of the world, you're just of a different program that was created elsewhere. You're not actually projecting your own. You're not making your own sovereign choices. Somebody else is making those choices for you. You're feeling guilted or shamed or like you have to follow the crowd in serving a different simulation, serving a program. When you're here to create your own program. Because how does it serve the universe or serve the infinite expansion by you doing the same thing somebody else is doing? And it doesn't serve your soul either, because that's not exciting. What's exciting is coming up with an idea and then being so immersed in spirit because you're not distracted by the outside world. You're completely detached from that. And you're so connected to your true, authentic self that all these creative ideas are starting to generate within you. And then you're manifesting things effortlessly just because you're matched to that frequency. And you're like, what the heck? How is this happening? And that is your currency, how you feel. But you have to detach and become less distracted by the things that are anchoring you down, which is the stories you're telling about your past. This is who I am because this happened to me. It's straight victim mode. Nobody wants to hear that. Yes, the feelings are going to keep coming up, but it's your choice whether you want to be detached from that and say, hey, wait, I'm choosing to keep telling this story. I'm choosing not to align with a higher frequency, to perceive it in a different way, to write a new story for myself. And when you go into victim mode, you're not showing up in love. Because love doesn't say you're a victim. It doesn't. Oh, I got to open the door real quick for my puppy. So hold on 1 second. Come on, Stanny. No barking. But anyways, I'm going off on a rant and I want to get down to the next point that in download that came through. And this has to do with interacting with others, okay? So when someone else is going through their own shadow, I can choose to be a part of that, even become a victim to it. Or I can detach, take nothing personally, and show up in love and understanding. I choose how I show up. When I detach from my own pain, I don't identify with others' pain or hold them responsible for the way I feel. I'm simply choosing how I want to show up energetically or to focus my energy elsewhere. And that was what came through with Spirit. And you know what? That's exactly what I was just talking about. It's like, Stan, if you knock down my light, you're gonna get it, you little rascal. Oh my gosh, Lance got a puppy like back in the spring, and he is just a handful. He needs attention all the time. He likes to smile with his teeth out. At first, it was like, it creeps people out because they're like, what the heck is your dog doing? But he just smiles. He's so cute, and I wouldn't trade him in for the world. But that was like, I got so excited about having my piece to make my videos. Just to get a rascally little puppy. I put him outside and you could hear him barking through the window. So I was like, okay, that is not good for the audio. And then I put him outside and he cried at the door. So now he's just going to have to be in here and hopefully be a good boy. But yeah, back to what I was, the message is about. It's just like getting so caught up in somebody else's shadow, okay? When somebody else is going through their shit, is usually when they trigger something where you go into victim mode, right? Well, they did this because they're in their shadow, right? It's usually some low vibrational act that you maybe see as disrespectful or maybe see as like low vibrational, so you don't want to be a part of that, right? But what happens is it activates our shadow. So we start identifying these feelings and going into victim mode and then blame, straight to blame. But if we can really detach in those moments and say, wait a second, first of all, this person is in their shadow. So they're not coming from a space of love right now. And so that's something that they're working on themselves internally, okay? And therefore that, if I'm not careful, playing in those types of energies, that can activate my shadow. And then boom, I'm starting to tell an old story about myself. Boom, I'm starting to go into victim mode and blame somebody for the way that I feel. But if we really, really become the observer, we can see that their shadow's being activated, our shadow's being activated. And if we can be present and say, okay, how can I come from a space of love? Victim mode is not love, guys, okay? Victim mode is very difficult to not be in victim mode, because even in a lot of therapists and stuff, and I'm not saying that all therapists are bad or anything like that, but they enable that. They enable the story. And it's like, if you continuously tell the story and identify yourself as this old story, you'll never let it go. You'll never detach. Those feelings can come up all they want as a memory. And it's your choice if you want to keep playing it out and keep telling the story, or if you want to make a decision to perceive the situation in a different way and show up in a different way, in love, in unconditional love. Like, look, yeah, this happened to you, but baby, if you want to feel love and joy, you can't keep telling that story. And that's just what Spirit brought through today. Like, and we can't hold other people responsible for the way we feel, good or bad. If someone activated you and made you feel blissed out, and they're like, that's my twin flame, or that's my soulmate, and that's it. And I'm just going to wait until I get their it's like not even about that. It's about recognizing that you generated that love. And it doesn't matter who you go to or where you go. You decide if that's the love that's going to show up, because it came from you. It didn't come from somebody. When you think that your love is tied to this attachment with somebody, that's all it is an attachment. Stan, we're going to have to figure something out with you, boy, because you distracted my videos. So yeah, when you attach the feeling of love to somebody else, you're saying that didn't come from you. You're not claiming that love. You're associating it with something else. And it's the same in the other direction. You can associate this pain with somebody else. But at the end of the day, it's probably from some story that you've always been telling, and this trauma that has generated over a period of time. And it's just stayed in you energetically. And so every time it comes up, it's like, am I going to do the same exact thing I did last time, or am I going to choose to respond differently? And honestly, it's mostly just about being present. That is what came through from Spirit today. Just like, be present in this moment. And what I mean by being present is just not floating off, telling stories, worried about everything externally. It's like, when I'm present, because I can feel myself in my own little world. I'm really not like overthinking anything. I'm not like thinking about how my trauma has impacted me, like from my past. Like I'm not worried about like, okay, I got to do this or do that. Like I'm very, thankfully I don't have an outside job. So I'm very detached from the matrix. So when I can get into that moment, Piper, I got to do something with her too. She's got her little hard chewy toy and she's squeaking it. Help me, Jesus. Sorry guys for the interruption. This is totally a trial run. I'm going to come up with a different idea with these dogs. But yeah, you know you're present because you're in the moment, connected to spirit, and these unique ideas are being downloaded to you. You're in a creative space and you're just zoned out and you're going, and you create this masterpiece or whatever it is. It's like you're not thinking about anything else except being present, and you can feel that expansiveness in your heart. A lot of people are like having all those emotions come up right now because it's fucking intense out there. Let's just be honest. And then like, instead of just taking that space so you can just like center yourself, it's like drowning in it. Because if you go out and play in the matrix on top of your shadow being constantly activated, asking you, hey, you want to do something about it now? You want to make a different choice now? No? Okay. Melt down, circle back around. Hey, here I am again. You going to do something about it now? That's exactly how shadow work is. And you just get to this point where it's like, hey, I see you again there, Mr. Shadow. And I'm unfazed. Because I know that if I stay in this space aligned with source and I just step away from the matrix for a second, step away from whatever's distracting me mentally, emotionally, overstimulating me, that I can recenter myself and reconnect with a higher frequency that keeps me in a space of detachment. Now, that's hard as hell when everything's being thrown at you at once. And say you're in a situation you just can't walk away from it. This is where mastery and stuff comes in. It's like not identifying with all these things. Well, this made me feel that, and this made me feel that. That is so tough when you're out there because it's a lot of bullshit out there. So like your reasons for the way you feel are probably pretty justified, but not to the universe. Because that's your frequency and stuff. It doesn't matter to the universe what it is that you're choosing to see. What matters is that you detach and then decide to see it in a different way. That is mastery. That is just like, that's always seeing the silver lining. The shittiest thing happens. Wow, where's the gift? That is what the universe is asking us to do right now. And damn, is it challenging. It is challenging. I have to walk away sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting the kids ready for school in the morning. I just got to walk away for like a couple minutes and take a bunch of deep breaths so I can be patient. Because I don't want to be impatient and then beat up on myself and go through that cycle, right? There's so many different ways that we work in our shadow and little things about and quirks about the way that we operate in our personality that is just our shadow manifesting itself. And then we're just like, well, this is just how I am. No, that's just an excuse for not wanting to change. And you keep doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same result. It's insane. That's the world we live in, an insane world. But we can choose to live in a sane one. We can choose to live in a connected one. We can choose to align to love. Every single moment is a choice. And to be present is to show up in love. Is to show up and see the silver lining, is to show up and forgive that person because you know that they're just struggling and going through the cycles just like anyone else. Just because their shadow doesn't look like yours doesn't mean they're not doing the work. Everybody is, whether at a snail pace or not, everybody's doing the work. So every single moment when you show up and you decide love, joy, understanding, like what is unconditional love really? You know, sometimes I ask myself that. But if you get up in this emotional roller coaster of enabling, it's not that either. That's the crazy thing. It's like it's so much above that because your emotions are detached from someone else's shadow when you're in a space of unconditional love. Like it is what it is. They're going through what they're going through. Like it's almost a very logical way of looking at it. But it also at the same time you bring that balance in of the emotional feminine side. So the masculine side is like logical, like, okay, like you get to decide how you perceive this moment right now, right? But then the feminine is that, so it's almost like that tough love. But the feminine is that soft energy of like, but I accept you as you are, always. I accept you in love as you are, right? That's tough. That's tough in a lot of situations, but that's that detachment, that forgiveness, that unconditional love. And once you start having that for yourself, that's when you can expand and have that for others. Always just understanding that what space they're coming from, because you can be in that masculine space of observing it and like, oh, okay, I see what this is, right? I see how this person's choosing to perceive this, and I see how I'm choosing to perceive this, and how those energies either align or disalign, if that's even a word. But yeah, guys, okay, I gotta figure out my my sound issue with my pets for my next video. But I will say, I do want to start doing lives. Like I didn't want to do it today because I had kind of figured that there would be an issue in terms of noise. But once I figure out how to get my camera going right, and the sound, and edit the videos and all that, I'm going to be doing a lot of lives probably, because it's just easier, and then I get to interact with you guys, and it gives me more content, really, because when you ask me questions, then I can just connect with spirit and roll with it. And I feel like that will be more organic in terms of co-creating, because yes, I asked spirit, bring me what people need to hear, but y'all can just bring it to me, right? We could just work together. So there's so many different ways that I'm gonna start rolling with this now that my kids are all in school, all 4 of them, and I have more time to really connect with everybody. I hope you all are doing all right out there. I'm seeing a lot of madness, and honestly, I'm just like gonna start taking small moments throughout the day and just like sending love out, because that's what we need right now. It's like there's a lot of people in this space of just like giving up. Fuck it, like I'm done. Like I'm so sick of like all dealing with the emotions, dealing with the journey. As soon as you get activated, it's like one dark night of the soul after another, and it's slightly torture in the process of really understanding how to work with energy. But once you learn how to alchemize it, and alchemization is just like literally seeing those emotions come up and being able to detach and be the observer, see the silver lining, bring in a different perspective. That's the real work. And once you can do that, then you're like consistent, like it becomes second nature, like riding a bike. It's like, oh, something bad happened, but I see, people like that. People who always see the silver lining. It's just like effortlessly like, it's okay, we'll figure it out. Like I have that in me for sure. But I also have those shadows, that those little, like there's certain things, right? There's certain things a little harder with, because you've been working with it for a long time. And that's understandable, but don't give up. I know this shit sucks sometimes, but really, like, deep down, anybody watching my channel knows that we came here for a reason, and it really is to anchor the light. So don't put pressure on yourself about like having some purpose and mission. That will happen organically as you align into higher frequencies, and all that is about is feeling good and seeing the higher perspective of things in any situation. Understanding this is exactly where you need to be right now, not desiring to be somewhere else. This is where you need to be right now. And anything that happens, that's okay. And this is how we just talk to ourselves, right? Have these conversations with ourselves in our head. And that will, once you can do that on a consistent basis, that's when you start to, really dip into this sea of mastery, a different frequency. Things start to become a little bit easier because you do believe everything's always working out for you. You truly believe that. And that's the frequency that you match within yourself. And I can say that. I come on and say things that I've actually experienced. And I can say that as a reflection of my own life. I'm exactly where I need to be. And sometimes I think that I'm not. And I realize how that's the ego coming in. And that's my trauma coming in. Because sometimes when you've never experienced true love, you don't know how to accept it and receive it. And really, it's just about maintaining a frequency that is a match to unconditional love. And then that everything around you gravitates. And you'll even get those, because we're human, you'll get those lower frequency scenarios that pop up, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because you're the gift in that situation. And we co-create with each other out in this world all the time to assist others in raising their frequency as well. So every situation, no matter what the 3D human sees it as, is a gift. And if we start to see it that way, life becomes a lot easier. So I hope this message helped you guys. I love you so much. And I hope that, you really can see the silver lining right now, because it's going to get more intense. The sun isn't slowing down, everything's getting pretty intense. So just open up your heart and love yourself unconditionally, and understand that love came from you, nothing else but you. And then it'll be easier to be present in that moment, because you have everything you need right now. All right. Have an awesome day, guys.